Hello everyone, welcome to Off the Cuff, and we are on location at the magnificent Grosse Pointe Yacht Club. We are sitting with Dr. Jabbra, who is a professor and dean of the School of Engineering and Computer Science at Oakland University. During our reception here for the president of the Lebanese American University in Beirut, who we'll be talking to in a few moments, Dr. Jabbra made some amazing comments, and as the dean and president of the School of Engineering at Oakland University, we felt it was important to talk to him about his vision and his move forward in education at Oakland University. So welcome, Dr. Jabbra, to Off the Cuff, and thank you for talking with us. I know you're very busy today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Dr. Jabbra, you talked about the future of education, and you talked about our young kids and what their vision is. As the dean at Oakland University, what are you looking at? What is your vision, and how are we moving forward in maintaining and encouraging our youth to go through the educational process?
You know, it's very important for our young generation to understand that the power of education and the power of actually the future, where we have a disruptive technology like autonomous vehicle, Internet of Things, and technology is taking over our life, and where computer, cybersecurity, and even here in Michigan, but in 10 years, majority of the job in the state of Michigan is going to require at least a bachelor's degree. And here we're not talking only about engineering and computer science. We really like to focus on soft skills too, like communication, presenting, taking risk, innovation. And our young generation need to understand that it's good to be computer savvy, but it's not going to be enough to get you a decent life where you have a prosperous life, you can support, get married. So engineering, computer science, and other major is very important for our young generation to get into and tap into a lot of scholarship that higher education learning institutions offer to our students.
And I think the STEM program is vital right now to get young women.
STEM program is extremely important, and because we really lack a lot of diversity in STEM and engineering. And why is it important? Where we have a diverse workforce, whether it's ethnic diversity, gender diversity, as well as age diversity. I really think it's important that diversity of mind and diversity of thought that people bring to the table will become stronger economy, and we become stronger workforce to compete in the global economy. So we need more African American, we need more Hispanic, we need more women. We need a lot of diverse group where we can exchange ideas and become stronger as a nation.
Absolutely. And in regards to being able to attract those different groups, what kind of services are there for them to be able to go into this educational process? So, of course, economics plays a big part.
So what we do is at Oakland University, actually we have a robust outreach program where we bring elementary school, middle and high school students to our STEM program. And sometimes some family, you're absolutely correct, they don't have the money to come to these summer camps. And please talk to us. We have scholarship we can offer to economic needs. And these summer camps cost about $400, but if you cannot afford it, I'll be happy to provide you with a scholarship. And we're not talking about only around Oakland. We bring people from Detroit, from Dearborn, from Oak Park, Hazel Park, but reach out to us, and please don't be afraid to ask for a scholarship, and I'll be happy to work with you.
Well, thank you so much. Amazing things happening at Oakland University, especially under your leadership. Dr. Shamra, thank you so much for talking to us, and I hope that we'll hear more from you, and I'd love to invite you to our studios at WDHT TV and have a longer conversation with you about this process. And
thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We are now with the man of the morning, Mr. John Akouri, who is the president of the Lebanese American Chamber of Commerce, who hosted this amazing breakfast in honor of the president of the Lebanese American University. And welcome to WDHT TV, Off the Cuff. You have done so many different things, and I've attended so many of your events. Tell us about the Lebanese American Chamber of Commerce that is really one of the premier chambers in the area. And
thank you.
The functions that you do, the people that you attract is really, really phenomenal. So tell us how that vision occurred and how we got here today.
You know, it's kind of funny. It was born out of a necessity, a need, and an opportunity, if you will. I had returned from Washington, D.C., where I'd been for several years. When I left, we were all American, and then of course there were some incidents that happened in the early part of the last decade that we started to see a number of various ethnic groups rise with nonprofit organizations, community organizations. So you had the Asian Village they were building downtown. You had two black chambers, African American in the black chamber, you had a Chaldean chamber, the Hispanic, and I said, well, you know, I'm an American, but I do have Lebanese ancestry and heritage. So I got together with a friend, picked him up from the airport on his way back from Beirut, and we stopped at a, can I say hookah?
Sure.
Okay, we stopped at a hookah shop.
Everybody
in
knows
Dearborn.
what hookah is.
So we were in Dearborn at a hookah shop. We were talking about this, saying, you know, I could join one of these, but you know, I'm Lebanese. I don't feel like I would fit in. And he said, well, we ought to start something. So we started talking with some various individuals, men and women, through various industries, medicine, law, education, technology, and we said perhaps we could start something on our own, and that's how it started, from a simple conversation at a hookah shop in Dearborn to where we are today 13 years later. 13. And we've been very blessed. You may have heard me say a little earlier, we're a boutique organization. We are very happy to work with anyone that is interested. It's welcome. Everybody is welcome. You don't have to be Lebanese to be a member of the Lebanese American Chamber. Young, old, East, West, foreign-born, American-born, men, women. I mean, everybody is welcome, as you know. And
sure.
And that's like Lebanon. I mean, you know, the Lebanese are always a welcoming community, and so we were able to just put a little bit of seed funds together and work together to grow this this organization, and we've been able to continue that tradition since 2005. And whenever we hear that a luminary from Lebanon is coming, whether they're in the film industry, athletics, politics, although we don't dabble too much, what our mantra is: leave your politics, your religion, and your egos
at the doorstep before you walk in.
And then come on in.
And I like that. Yeah. That's a great mantra. And I know we had Asad Kalada as one of our guests at the Images and Perceptions. Yes. And thanks to you, you were very gracious in hosting him at one of your amazing events too. And that's a memorable occasion that he still speaks of to this day.
Awesome.
So it's amazing. Your chairman, Lou Peters, we have to mention him. He has been very instrumental as well in the success of the Lebanese Club, of course, you know, under your Lebanese chamber, under your leadership. Now, I know there's the Arab American Chamber of Commerce and
Great
the Lebanese American Chamber of Commerce. So how do you sort of collaborate and work together?
Well, I've known Faye Beydoun and Ahmed Shabani for many years. They're close personal friends of mine. I think the world of them, and Faye is wonderful. Ahmed is terrific. We were just together at the auto show during the charity preview, and their focus initially was more overseas. They were going to Cairo. They had the Detroit, Dubai sister city. So we kind of said, well, that's great, but we wanted to focus more on the region and more stateside. And so that is more of our focus. I don't know anymore if they're still doing. I know that the Middle East is.
Well, sure. I think import and export is real important, and they do focus on that because they are the Arab Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
So they sort of.
And they do a great job.
Yeah, they do. Faye, it's always an honor to have Faye anywhere, of course, and she does an amazing job moving forward with commerce and things like that. But I think the both chambers are so complementary to one another, and they focus on almost the same thing, but sort of bring it all whole, and that's what it's really about. Working together. The Lebanese Chamber of Commerce really focuses on a certain perspective, bringing people together, creating that east-west kind of connection, which is phenomenal on a personal level too. And you do that so very well, John. And thank you for everything that you do within the community. All these, the networking is phenomenal. People get to know each other, and that's because of you.
Very kind. And let me just say this too, with respect to the other chambers, since you'd mentioned that. I want to also applaud the Yemeni American Chamber of Commerce, the Chaldean Chamber of Commerce, the Jordanian American Association. We are all proud of our heritage.
Absolutely.
And whether there are lines of demarcation or not, each heritage is specific to its own culture. And so I love going to Jordanian functions where I can eat mansef. We don't offer mansef,
Yeah, we didn't have mansef this morning.
I love going to the Ramallah Club events because I learned how to do a Palestinian dapki versus our Lebanese dapkis. So I'm still learning, and I love that there are all these, and that everybody gets along.
We have cultures within our culture, and we have to learn about one another. And for me, the more that these organizations are created, that's testament to our communities and the growth of our communities. So it's not that we shouldn't have more. We should have more, and we should engage more. And the more we do have, the more engagement that we can have within our societies.
Within ourselves. And you do an amazing job, a pinnacle of our community, with the Images and Perceptions conference that you put on, because we all know about each other, but a lot of times non-Arabs might not know about. They have a certain, what they hear on the news, what they heard growing up, what they heard in school, what they heard their parents say, maybe, or their grandparents. You take that and you present to them the real image. I think it's a great word.
Thank you.
The title of your conference. And I'm always amazed when I come at the turnout, and you offer CE course, credits. You just do an amazing job bringing those folks
thank you so much.
together.
And I think it's important to get to know our communities, whether they're Hispanic, whether they're Asian, whether they're Jewish American, Arab American, and so it's about that conversation. And we enrich our lives when we get to know about each other, and you do a phenomenal job. John, thank you so much for being a good friend, for being a representative of the Lebanese and Arab community, and for the work that you do bringing people together. So thank you so much. We are with our honored guest, the Honorable Dr. Joseph Jabbra, who is the president of the Lebanese American University in Beirut. It is such an honor to have you with us here today.
Thank you very much. The honor is mine.
Well, thank you. We just finished a beautiful luncheon in honor of Dr. Jabbra, and you made some amazing comments which really caught my ear. You talked about the educational process in Lebanon, and I couldn't help but sort of compare and contrast between the Lebanese system and our American system. And I know that you were the VP of Loyola in Los Angeles, and also the VP of St. Mary University in Nova Scotia, Canada. So you're familiar with very many different types of educational systems. What's your take on the Lebanese system, comparing and contrasting?
Well, I'll tell you, we are an American institution. So the system that we have at LAU is an American system. We're no different from any other American institution on the mainland. So our system of our teaching is in English, all of it, So if you walk on campus in Beirut or in Byblos, you would feel that you're on an American campus in the United States. The same style, the same way of doing things, the same curriculum, everything else. We're an American institution. We're not a Lebanese institution. The reason why there is Lebanese there is because the institution has been there since 1835. Just think about that. that.
Absolutely.
And we have deep roots in the country. That's why, you know, they decided to include Lebanese. But we are an American institution operating in Lebanon. Our headquarters is in New York, and we are chartered in New York as an American institution.
So what draws that style in regards to the American system in Lebanon, comparing to the different educational systems
Well,
in
I'll tell you one
Lebanon?
thing. I left, I was educated in Lebanon in French. Then I continued my PhD in the United States. And from the United States, I went to Canada. So I had the opportunity really to compare three major systems, in fact, four: the Lebanese, the French, you know, the American, and the Canadian.
Right.
And it's fascinating. The Canadian system is really a mix of British and American. And that's fascinating how the system came together really with a Canadian really, if you wish, bent, so to speak. The American system, we all know it. It's a system that is really homegrown, and it has done so well, not only within the United States, but outside the United States as well. Now, in terms of the French system, it's quite different, really. It's quite different in terms of the approach to education. It's quite different in terms of the content. It's quite different in terms of the curricula. And that's what made me really, as an educator, so rich in terms of thoughts, in terms of ideas, in terms of accessibility to different higher education systems, but in terms of accepting really, without rejection, any kind of system of these four that I just mentioned to you. So I feel that I'm lucky to have had, you know, that exposure to so many systems.
And I think having that experience and bringing it to that university is definitely invaluable.
It's been wonderful
and
in my case.
Absolutely. You know, your focus is, and you started in 2004 as president of LAU, and you had a 5-year strategic plan. So it was fundraising is a major part, because you had mentioned that is privately funded and tuition based. So how do you ask for funding, and what's the process in terms of that strategic plan?
Really, I have an knack for fundraising. I never
tell.
learned
You're
that
very
in school,
personable.
but it's in my blood.
Absolutely.
I love people. I care for people. I can sit down with people
And you're passionate
give
about
and
what
take,
you do.
and I have that passion for it. So it's something that is very, very important for me, and it is very important because of my commitment. And I said to everyone, to one and all, that we have not only the responsibility, but the obligation to make sure that any qualified Lebanese, male or female, you know, we have the obligation to find a way for them to come to LAU. That's why, as I said, this year, you know, we're giving $30 million in terms of financial aid, in terms of scholarships, in order to allow our young Lebanese, you know, men and women to come to LAU. Because as I said, really, education is the answer to the ills that afflict our society.
And you're so right. And I think our students and our young people today do not get that message grilled into them as they should. You know, we're looking at trade, we're looking at manufacturing, but as you said earlier during our luncheon, that we need all of that, but education has to be the base.
Very important, because if we abandon the notion of education, what makes, you know, a man or a woman an educated person? It's not the skill.
Absolutely.
It's what they get in terms of
knowledge,
you know,
based.
Of course.
Absolutely. I read this and I was just totally enthralled with this kind of process. You say the legacy of the promise. So moving forward and maintaining and accelerating what is already there. So I love the concept of moving forward with a strategic plan of creating that promise and looking at the future, but also maintaining and strengthening what you have. Because many leaders come in and say, okay, I'm wiping this out and I'm going to start over.
I never did that. You know, this is, now I'm going through my third strategic plan. When I came into LAU was not really a major going concern, so to speak. So I gathered everybody and said, we need to take this institution to the next level. So with our first strategic plan, and that's when we got all the accreditations, all the acknowledgement. And then, you know, at that time, they told me that you could not really possibly raise a penny. I said, I will raise money. They said, you won't be able to. So I lowered my sight and said, we'll go for $40 million. Within the first 2 years, we met that, you know, because the strategic plan was for 5 years.
Right.
And I campaigned for 5 years. So within the first 2 years, we met our goal. So we, in a way, hiked up our goal to $75 million. We raised that. The second one was for $100 million. We raised that. And now we're going through our third, you know, strategic plan. And our commitment to raise $110 million precisely to give the opportunity to young Lebanese to come to LAU and get an education that is second to none.
Absolutely. And you were very, very key in creating the accreditation for the...
It's very important, you know, because now when students, young people talk about university with their parents or amongst themselves, the first question they ask is whether the institution is accredited or not.
Absolutely. And you were very instrumental in creating that process. And also I read in your bio too that you were very instrumental in accrediting the certain law schools here to be prepared for the American Bar Association and law as well. So that was something in your history here. How long were you in the States? How long did you reside in the States?
In the States? Well, I'll tell you, I spent 40 years between Canada and the United States. I came to the United States because our family settled in Minnesota, in Mankato, Minnesota, at the turn of the century, the grandfather. And you know, when I came here, I fell in love with French education, and I became very, very fluent in the language. But then, you know, the family said, enough French. You need to really at least get a degree from an American institution. So I did. And I wanted to go back, really, and help. But the war was raging, and I decided, well, I stay 1 year, one more year, and I got so many offers. So I ended up staying, you know, for 4 years in North America. And at Loyola, I stayed 14 years. In Canada, I was really the first foreign-born, you know, Lebanese, really to become vice president.
Wow, what an honor.
So it's really been an incredible journey for me. But I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to go back to the country that has given me the best gift in life, and that's life itself. I was born there, I was raised there, although our family had been in the United States for a long time. So, but I wanted to go back and do something for that country. And when the opportunity arose, I jumped on it, and people thought that I was crazy. I had lost my mind. He's going back to a country that is really, you know, in trouble. A lot of violence, a lot of killing, a lot of this and a lot of that. But I had faith in what it is I wanted to do. I wanted to serve our young people and tell them there is an alternative to violence. There is an alternative, you know, to war. There is, because we can really be a major force in terms of building a community, in terms of building a country, in terms of becoming really an international concern, ongoing concern for everybody. So that's been my commitment, my passion. It's not only it's a passionate commitment because I believe in it. I believe in offering young people the opportunity to come into their own, to flourish and grow and blossom and do good things, don't you think?
Absolutely, and there's hope through education. There's always hope through education. You said, you made a term earlier, and you said Lebanon is experiencing a brain drain.
Yes.
And I've seen that, you know, very many educated individuals come here
I'll tell
from
you,
Lebanon.
I am very concerned about
Yes.
that. Not that we're going to stop, you know, the flow of people going everywhere. This is not the issue. But I think every young people who really would like to stay in Lebanon and work in Lebanon should be given that opportunity. Should be given that opportunity. And should be recognized and not shoved aside. And I think it's very important for all of us, including our political leaders there, to really make sure that young people continue to have that hope, you know. And if they want to stay in Lebanon, they should be given that opportunity. If they want to travel, that's fine. If they want to go abroad, that's fine. But I think they should realize that should they opt to stay in Lebanon, you know, they will have a place.
The opportunity should be there. Absolutely.
Very important, don't you think?
1,000%, because we educate them, you know, well, in Lebanon, they come to the universities, they get their degrees. You have one of the major medical schools as well, at the Lebanese University.
Major school, major hospital. Now we're getting applications from the United States and from Canada.
That's
it's really
exciting.
incredible.
Absolutely.
Because we are doing very well. Our standards are very, very high.
Yes.
Very high.
But we need, as any country, when you educate your youth, you want them to stay and reinvest in the process and create that platform of strength and unity. And maybe that's something that your passion definitely speaks
very
to
much
as
so.
well.
Very much so. I want to take this opportunity really to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be interviewed by you.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I thank you very much for what you do, for your passion and your vision. And I really do believe you're transforming the concept and the idea of education. And I think once that platform is created there, you will have that magnet to make sure that people are there and to share their views and to share their talent with the wonderful country of Lebanon.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you for doing so much for America and for Lebanon as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you, Doctor.
So much.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
And we want to thank you for being with us. We also want to thank our gracious host, John Akouri, who's the president of the Lebanese American Chamber of Commerce, who allowed us to be here and gave us the opportunity to interview the president of the Lebanese American University, and also Dr. Jabbra from Oakland University. Thank you all for being with us, and we will see you soon.